All right, welcome back. Anybody that's new here, this is DW's Cooks Everything. Anything? Yeah, DW's Cooks Anything. Or everything. Yeah, yep, it's in the title. You guys seen it. Those of you guys that aren't new here or are from my DWS Outdoors channel, a bunch of you guys wanted me to do the smoked whitefish video, so I decided to do that. I'm just going to go over some of the stuff that we need real quick just to get this going. I'm starting it tonight, so this is the brine. You need at least 10 to 12 hours of brine time. So I usually start it at like 9 to 10 o'clock the night before, and then you'll see in the morning, I'll pull it out in the morning after about 10 to 12 hours. But you need sea salt, garlic powder, brown sugar, and some soy sauce. And then you'll end up with some warm water and stuff like that. I'll go over all the measurements and stuff like that when we get into the mix for the brine that I'm using. And then you need 10 pounds of whitefish, or any fish for that matter. But this is just what I did for the whitefish. I tried it. I did this once. I wanted to try it out before I actually made it and like made a video for you guys. I've been smoking fish for a while now, but it's not like I'm an expert or anything like that. This is just something that turned out really good, and I'm going to share it with you guys. Okay, so I'm going to have Jen help me with the measurements here. She has everything from my recipe written down, so she's just going to go through what we've been doing that works really well is you grab a pitcher of some kind or like a container. I think the last time we used like a bowl, but something to put you need warm water. So you're going to do, what is it?
8 cups of water.
So you'll end up with 8 cups of warm water. So this has 4 cups measurement, and then something to stir with. What she figured out that works really well is we'll do all of our dry ingredient measurements first in here. Then what I do is I'll add 4 cups of water, and then she'll add, so we need the soy sauce. Then she'll add the soy sauce. I'll mix that up, and then I'll fill this again. But what I'll do is I'll pour about half of that over the fish. So I didn't say it before, but you do want some kind of, like, this is a brine tub. This is literally to put fish in, and then this goes in your fridge overnight. But you want a shallow, wide pan for this so that you don't need so much liquid. But you'll see as we go, it's basically just dry ingredients, some water, so half the water, and then the wet ingredients. So that's the only wet ingredients. And then, like I said, I'll pour about half of it out, and then what I'll just do is I'll get the other 4 cups and do that afterwards. So she can put the wet or dry ingredients now. All right, so she starts with, we got a half a cup of sea salt. Okay, so 1/2 sea salt. So then you need 2 cups of brown sugar. So the next thing is going to be for the garlic powder. It's 1.5 tablespoons. So like I said, we're doing all the dry ingredients first because then you can measure out the stuff with the measurement devices after the fact, because then you need the wet ingredients. So what I'm going to do now is you need 8 cups of warm water. So I'm going to fill this twice, but like I said, I'm only going to fill it once. I'm going to pour it in this pitcher. If you have a big enough pitcher to do 8 cups, then you could just do it all at once, but I do half and half. Okay, so this is the first 4 cups out of 8. You guys can see it on my pitcher, it's almost full. So then she's going to do the wet ingredients, which is just the soy sauce.
So
and
2 cups.
And I use Kikkoman, so 2 cups of soy sauce. So mix that in with this right now. Okay, so that's all the dry ingredients and the two cups of soy sauce that you need, but we still need 4 more cups of warm water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this up now, and like I said, the reason I do this is because it's just easier to mix things up in this, but you want it really good and mixed up. So like I said, do this. Now that I'm done mixing it, what I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm only going to pour out about half of this. And what I try to do is not make a mess. So I'll pour it around the edges. So if you guys get these same kind of like brine bins, brine containers, the easiest thing I found is to pour it around the outsides, a little bit in the middle. And like I said, get down to a little less than half. Okay, so those are kind of all coated. Still got a little bit left in there. And then another 4 cups of warm water. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna mix this up, and then I'm gonna pour this over this in the same manner, just basically covering everything really well. And one tip I will give you guys that I found over the years, so I didn't even scale these. I was being lazy and just kind of chopped them up real quick, but you put the skin side up so that the meat is down in the brine, because they will float. You can get them to sit down in the brine a little bit, but it's a lot better for absorption if you put the meat side down. Okay, so as you guys can see now, I have the rest of it poured in there. I mixed it up really good. One thing I can show you guys, or maybe I can show you guys, is if you kind of oscillate and move these bins, you can kind of see how the waves kind of push it around. And what that does, it seems to settle everything down, and it gets the brine in between everything. So you don't want any spots where like they're sitting like pushing against each other, because what happens is you'll have basically a non-brine part of the fish there. But now I'm going to throw the cover on this, and then I stick them in my fridge. I have a refrigerator downstairs. This recipe will be the easiest thing in the world if you have like a garage fridge or something. I don't have a garage like that, so I use my fridge that I have downstairs. This is just an old cheap fridge. It's actually broken. It gets really cold, but I am going to be leaving them in here for about 10 to 12 hours. Okay, so as you guys can see, they're all brined up. You really want to oscillate them. I want to stress that you like really want to get them to move around a little bit, because if, like I said, if they're touching each other, or if there's a bunch like piled up on top of each other, what you'll end up with is like non-brine sections. It doesn't necessarily taste bad. It just doesn't taste as good as the other stuff. And when you're eating the fish, you'll taste the difference. Trust me, I've screwed it up plenty of times. That's just a tip for you guys. But the next thing you guys will see, it'll be daylight out, and I will get them started and go over the prep that needs to happen in the morning. So what's gonna take all night for me is gonna be a couple seconds for you guys. So I'll see you in the morning. Okay, so as you guys can see, it is daylight out now, and we've got them brined. So it's been about, I would say about 12 hours. It's 10 o'clock right now. These, I'm going to say, are going to take anywhere, because they're pretty thin slices, but they're not thin fish. So I'm going to say they're going to take like 6 to 8 hours. And so what I did is I get everything ready. So you're going to need some nonstick spray. I like to use this is just olive oil from like Sam's Club or whatever. This is my favorite smoke seasoning ever. I use this for pretty much all of my fish. But I also use, if you guys know the Bearded Butchers, I use their Hollywood blend. A friend turned me onto this stuff a while back, and it's good stuff. So I'll do like a 50-50 a lot of times. But so things I do is I get my, that's my vacuum sealer. I get that ready. You get a couple pans ready. This is for anybody that's new to smoking fish, by the way. Then I get like I said, I get all my stuff ready. And then what we have to do here, so while my smoker is heating up, I have that on right now. I have a pellet smoker. It's like a 6 Series Pit Boss. You can talk crap all you want about them. This just makes smoking fish easy. And I've kind of learned a secret to get them to smoke more and cooler than you would if you normally would like just try to run them at like 150 or whatever. You guys will see. I'll show you guys that. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse these guys off, but I'm going to tell everybody a really simple trick. Get yourself a big bowl of some kind that you can stack those all in, and I'm going to run them under cold water, and basically one by one I'll rinse them each, put them in this bowl, then I'm going to rinse out that tub really good. Then I'm going to stick them back in there. I'm going to fill the tub with a little bit of water. This is a big process, but it seems to work really well. And kind of slosh it around, get any of the excess brine off of them, anything extra, and then just dump that out, and then we'll move outside to getting the smoker set up, because by the time I'm done doing all that, that's going to get done. A lot of people, when they're doing like salmon and stuff like that, they do this thing, it's like Peccasil. You dry your fish until there's like a skin on them. What I've been noticing is everybody loves my smoked fish because they're just like a fresh, somewhat cooked smoked fish. So I don't know if that's hard to convey to you guys, but if you're looking to try something different, this is the way I've been doing it. And everybody can do it their own way. This is just a good baseline. So I'm going to take a couple minutes here, rinse all these off, and then get them ready to go outside. And then I'll tell you the next step that I go from there. This, like I said, this is to try and help anybody that's like new to smoking fish and you want to get out and chase, like I fish. DWS Outdoors is my main channel, and I fish and eat fish regularly. So I took the time to learn how to smoke fish and then play with it a little bit. So like I said, the big thing about this whole channel, DWS Cooks Everything, is so you guys start playing with your food, learn how to make it yourself, and trust me, this, like, if I were to buy all of this for smoked fish, you're talking like $400 in smoked fish. So I'm saving myself money right now. But yeah, I'm going to rinse all these off, and then we're going to get out there, and like I said, I'll go from there. Okay, guys, so now that we got all of our fish rinsed and ready to go, what I'm going to do is give you guys a little, like, so what I do, I don't know if you guys can see that even. So I have this smoker set to 250, which is really hot for smoking fish. So what I'm going to do here is I get it up to 250, so you have water in the bottom of your smoker. Make sure your water pan's full. But one of the things I do is I get the smoker up to 250, and then I'm going to turn it all the way down to 160, 165, maybe even 170 in that range, and then I'm going to let it smoke out. So while it's doing that, I'm going to pull my grates out. So I'll pull all my grates out, and I'll load them up with the fish. I'll season my fish, and then put them back. And what's going to happen is it's going to drop in temp. And what I've noticed is the pit boss, for whatever reason, will double over on its smoke. So you'll end up with like a really, really heavy smoke for like the first hour. And that's what I really want. I want as much smoke as I can get in this thing at as low a temperature as I can get for as long as I can. So I like to do that for at least the first 2 hours. So I'm going to show you how I season mine. But yeah, let's lower the temp here because we don't want to cook our fish. That's not what we're doing. Okay, so first things first, the non-stick spray. A lot of times I'll clean these grates off, but for the most part, I've been smoking fish for like a week now. So try to get this good and coated. You don't want your fish sticking to them. Okay, so that's the first 2 racks, and then what I'm going to do is, since I like the smokehouse seasoning the most, these really heavy tail sections, or the thicker tail sections, I'm going to season the most with that one, the smokehouse maple, because it's really good. Okay, so that's the smokehouse maple. And then this rack with all the splits, so these are all deboned center sections. I'm going to do the Hollywood blend from Bearded Butchers. I'm going to link everything that you need for this down in the description of the video. So if you want to make it yourself and see what they taste like, I can tell you right now you won't be disappointed. But yeah, this is one of those things. Like these are my 2 favorite snacks right now. Okay, so as you guys can see, it's already coming down. I have it at 160 right now, and I don't know if you guys can see that really good, but here, I'll open it up because I'm going to stick those 2 racks in there. It's starting to get good and smoky, so I'm going to put those 2 in the top and then get the rest of them finished. Okay, so as you guys can see, I loaded the smoker. It's full now, and it's down to 160, 163. That's my probe. So one of the things I've learned is the temperature probe on these things is up high. So it'll be 160 up here, 118 down there. One thing I wanted to show you guys before I forget is you want to put your fish together in size. So those are all little ends. So I'm going to put those in the middle. Those are some bigger ones. I'll put those on the bottom. And my other two bigger ones I'm going to have up top. These racks are going to take way longer than the short stumpy little racks. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get this to smoke really heavy for the first hour and then come back and check it and see if I need to rotate anything to get more even smoke. But one thing, if you guys have this smoker specifically, is I'll go into my P settings, smoke mode, and I will set it on P6. So the smoke mode's P6. And what I've noticed is, you can't really see it, but right now it's dumping smoke in there. So much so that I'll come back out here in a little bit. If I see it doing what I want it to do, and I don't have to mess with this as well, sometimes I have to play with this to get it to go back and forth. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but it's just like a real smoker. You got to maintain it in order to get it to do it right. So one of the things that I like to look for is when this is completely smoked out, because then I know my fish are getting a really good ample amount of smoke at the beginning of the thing. Right now it's coming out pretty good, and I want it to stay that way for at least an hour or 2 hours at the beginning of the smoke, and then periodically I try to get it to do that through the rest of the day. It's really dumping out now, so we'll come back in about an hour here and see how things are looking. Okay, so yeah, it's been an hour. I did turn it up to 170 because I wanted to see if I could get more smoke out of this, and it looks like it is really smoking good right now. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's hard for me to see on here, but I'm going to do a real quick check, see how things are looking. So right now everything is looking pretty good. So I don't want to put it hotter than 170. So you can see how that's already curling up. So this is the thin shelf. There's a couple of them. You don't want that rolling up like that too fast, because that basically then you're just cooking them. I might actually turn these down to 160 again for the next hour, and yeah, just let them get heavy smoke again. The big thing here is I know that like this shelf, and that shelf, it's going to take all of like 6 hours. So that's going to be the trick, is keeping the smoke coming in waves for at least 6 hours. Those little ones will probably come off in about 3. One of the things I wanted to show you guys, if I can get a good angle on this. So I mess with these modes. This is at P7 now, and I turn down to 160. So I'm lowering the temp and I raise the smoke mode. So like it's at its max mode 7. But I've noticed something, that a problem with the Pit Boss, even with the Pro Series, is if you leave it on that 7 setting for too long, it'll back up in the ash pot, and it'll actually like short out the thing. The system will shut down. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put it at that for like 30-40 minutes, and then I'll come back and shut it off and turn it back up to like 170. What I'm doing is basically I'm going to raise it back to 70 for the sake of burning off all the excess that's in the pot. You can hear it. I think you can hear that. The corkscrew in this thing really has a hard time feeding as much as it needs to when you're running that setting really high. So the trick is to go back and forth and make sure you're burning off the excess every once in a while without overheating the fish. It's a balance game, and yeah, it can be a pain in the butt, but at the end of the day, you'll end up with better fish that way. Okay, so it's been about 2 hours. I'm going to do my midway check. I'm actually going to let it smoke a little bit here. It's running really heavy. I have it still set at so right now I have it set at 170, and it's on that the 7th setting for the smoke. So the most smoke you can get in basically on this smoker. Depending on your smoker, like I said, I periodically bring up the smoke and down the heat, and then bring the heat back up to burn that off. So it's been doing this for about, I think I did it about 25 minutes ago. I changed it. So I'm going to let this smoke a little bit. And then what I'll do is I'm going to turn it up probably to 180 for about 10-15 minutes to try to get that extra pile of stuff down there to really burn off. And then I'll turn it back down to like 160. I know it's kind of a cluster, and you're supposed to just like leave it at like 150 for like 6 to 8 hours or whatever. But I like to, like I said, get as many waves of the smoke on there as possible. I just like smoky, fishy, or smoky fish. That's that's what I like the most about smoking fish. So, and then it looks like, here, let me turn you guys around. It looks like, yep, getting good color here. It kind of looks like these guys might be cooking a little bit faster than I thought they were, or would be. So I think I'm going to move my top shelf down to the bottom here and probably rotate these two middle ones. So the smaller fish and the next larger ones up, I'll just rotate those. So top to bottom, bottom to top, and then those two I'll just rotate around. But so far, they are looking really, really good. And like I said, this is only, wow, like 2 or 3, I think it's 3 hours in technically. So I'm going to change those around and put another alarm. I basically, every hour on the hour, I make sure to come and do my preliminary checks and make sure everything's going the way I want it to. So it's about the 5-hour mark here, 5-6 hour mark. And for whatever reason, sometimes this thing will flare up. And I've been opening the door here to try to let some of the heat out. It was at like 220, and you can see, I had it set down to 50. For whatever reason, it decided to kick up a bunch of heat. I don't know what the modes are, but basically, at this point, everything's well and cooked and done. They've been getting smoked pretty good for at least 4.5 hours before it decided to flare up for the last like 30 minutes here. So I'm going to just start pulling them off right now and put them on some cookie sheets to bring inside and put in a fridge. So basically, like I said, they're at about that 5-hour mark. These are the small ones, so you'll be able to see they're pretty firm. The little ones got pretty firm. The bigger ones will be a little bit more squishy, and then like the biggest ones are still pretty soft. And I like them right around here. These thinner ones would have been fine had it not flared up for the last 30 minutes. But it was only 30 minutes, so it kind of just like, I guess, finished cooking them. You don't have to worry about them being undercooked. But the big thing here that I'm going to do, so I put them on these cookie sheets because then I take these, I will let them cool down a little bit here, but then I will stick these in my fridge until they're cooled all the way down, and then I'm going to package them. So you wait till they're completely cooled down in your fridge or whatever, as long as you need to. Sometimes it's 2-3 hours or whatever in the fridge. And then once they're cold, then you can vacuum seal them, and they will last like 3 to 6 months if you don't eat them all right away like I do. Basically, I have some downstairs, so I'm definitely going to be eating some of these right now. And then, yeah, this is how I smoke whitefish, and it turns out really, really good. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Okay, so the big thing here I just want to get across to everybody is this is just how I do my whitefish. If you have a different recipe, I really want you guys to comment your recipes down below. The biggest thing I'm trying to do with my channel, with this cooking channel, not my DW's Outdoors channel, although that would help on there too, is basically if you guys have a good recipe and you think it might be better or just a good different thing than this one, because they're all going to be different, they're all going to taste different, comment below and write it out, like write what you need, like all the different things, the measurements, all that stuff. Because what I want to do with this channel is it's just going to be up forever. So long after I'm dead, this channel will be, passed down or passed around. And by having everything in here, whenever somebody looks up like smoked fish or something like that, and they go in the comments, they'll have the ability to be like, oh my God, there's like 50 recipes here. It's like an online log of all the good foods. And if you like smoked fish, if you're looking up for smoked fish, these are really good fish. I'm going to try and get one that I think looks kind of amazing here. So this is just one of my tail sections and put it in the sunlight for you guys. But that, I think they've been turning out pretty good. So I am satisfied with it. Like I said, comment below if you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully you guys do. If you're new here, subscribe. If you're from my DW's Outdoors channel, let me know if you guys try this one out, because I'm going to have it on my whitefish videos. And yeah, if you guys do whitefish fishing, if you have good recipes, please comment them below. This is just one of the ideas that I came up with. This wasn't one somebody gave me. I kind of just made this up myself out of other things. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Like I said, I'll see you guys next time.